The industry icons in this list all share one thing in common. They don't need to still be in the industry. They could be happily retired off on their holidays, sipping cocktails by the pool and making inappropriate comments about the locals. But it does make sense if you're a wrestler that you wouldn't want to walk away. As a wrestler, you are systematically and socially instructed to cling to your spot as if it was the last packet of crisps in this office. With that in mind, I'm Adam Wilborn from WhatCulture, and these are 10 wrestlers who love their lives too much to retire. Number 10. Daniel Bryan. Regardless of what his audience might think of WWE's output, and I've been on quite the journey with that one recently, Daniel Bryan still referred to it as the stuff of dreams. Dreams he fought incredibly hard for during an enforced retirement due to head trauma. The stuff you don't risk unless you know you can. Despite becoming a new husband and a father, the fact he had plenty enough money in the bank and a very simple way of life, Bryan chased and chased and chased the chance of a return until he actually bloody managed it. On this evidence, what will ever stop him rushing after that canvas-shaped dragon? Number 9. The Undertaker. Be honest, if he really, really wanted to, he just bloody would. For years, fans and, to be honest, this very YouTube channel fantasy booked the end of The Undertaker's WrestleMania undefeated streak to coincide with the end of his career. Although the wrestling landscape back then had some sort of modicum of logic, I suppose. Then this big old bastard came along, dropped Taker on his head, and turned this guy into a meme. The returns since then haven't so much diminished as they have decayed. Bray Wyatt, Shane McMahon, and even Roman Reigns served up show of shows absolute stinkers, despite the fact it was the only date in Taker's diary. Keeping going as if to try and prove that all of these were outliers, it took him until 2019 until he actually managed it. The Graveyard Dogs, who'd have thought it, served up one of the pay-per-view matches of the year, defeating Shane McMahon and Drew McIntyre. Number 8. Dustin Rhodes. It's all come deservedly good for Dustin Rhodes, all at the right time. After a seminal bloodbath against his sibling, Dustin signed a multi-year deal with All Elite Wrestling. He'll surely serve just as much as an experienced sounding board as he will a reliable utility man whenever a credible babyface is needed. I love you, Dustin Rhodes, you weird bugger. Number 7. Ric Flair. Ric Flair's loss to Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 24 helped arguably craft the most beautiful and earnest send-off in wrestling's history. The Nature Boy said goodbye to the robes, ropes, tights, and friends and kayfabe enemies he'd worked with and inspired along the way in a sentimental masterpiece. And then TNA, as they so often did, screwed everything up. Health setbacks for much of his late 60s seem to have finally put paid to any physical conflict, if you don't include him trying to get off with Becky Lynch, which WWE certainly don't. But now, there's Charlotte. After a brief spell as her manager, Flair has transitioned into an infrequent guest on WWE and is now clearly and understandably enamored with the Queen's sensational work. Just maybe keep him away from a live mic, eh lads? Number 6. Chris Jericho. 6 words. That is all it took for Chris Jericho to give All Elite Wrestling the best possible start as a wrestling force to be reckoned with on engagement alone. You know what I'm talking about. A little bit of the bubbly. Presumed to be on the part-timers tour with WWE seemingly forever, Jericho spotted a unique and unprecedented opportunity in 2017. The wrestling landscape today may well have been very different if Jericho had decided not to take the plunge and work New Japan's Wrestle Kingdom 12. The rest, as they say, is history. That tantalizing one-off transitioned into a run that exists to this day. And what a bloody run it's been. The perfect choice for the inaugural All Elite Wrestling Heavyweight Champion, or to put it in his words, Le Champion. This may well be his best character reinvention ever. Fight me. Number 5. Triple H. Triple H wanted it all, and he damn well took it. Hunter's wrestling ascent wasn't without hurdles, but he clambered over them and other people very well. Yes, an unexpected romance and some very calculated political commitments saw him lifting the spare keys to the entire kingdom from Vince McMahon. The expectation, of course, is he will assume Vince's role entirely if the chairman ever swaggers off his mortal coil. Give it time. A bit more time. Ahead of taking the only spot he's so far not held hostage, Hunter turned himself babyface in the eyes of the internet wrestling community. Hello, please be nice in the comment section, by completely reimagining the developmental system. Mwah. A mix of old school values and new school talent, NXT really captured the zeitgeist in 2014 and has only recently relinquished it due to AEW's unstoppable rise. Number 4, Jim Ross. Is Jim Ross in the middle of the industry's most unlikely reinvention thanks to his work in All Elite Wrestling? Once, quite rightly in my eyes, celebrated as the business's best ever announcer, JR's later years have highlighted a seemingly inconvenient truth. He didn't quite have it anymore. Search your feelings, you know it to be true. Ross was ropey at Double or Nothing, but the improvement has been steep, sharp, and sensational. Ross adds gravitas to absolutely everything and smartly links together the generations, separating his partners. Yeah, they're not bad either. Brilliantly, his primary value, though, is of course his voice. Take note, Michael Cole. Keen to catch channel hoppers and keep them, Ross's tones have been trusted by Cody, the Young Bucks et al. To do just that. Keep up the good work, mate. Number 3, William Regal. 2 decades after he was virtually out on his arse from an industry that clearly benefited from him within it, William Regal finds himself at the pinnacle of the industry's future. He is a real-life talent scout, premium advice sage, and on-screen GM for what has been the biggest creative success story of WWE in the past decade. Regal's role as a dignified steward of the developmental system sees him shaping the future rather than trying to relive his past. Having said that, one more match? Regardless of whether or not he ever dons the tights again, please. He has come as close as anybody has to becoming a WWE lifer in this chaotic WWE infrastructure. Well, actually, number 2, Shawn Michaels. You can't spell wrestler retirement without lie. But Shawn Michaels came as close as anybody ever has to sticking to this cursed commitment. And then an undisclosed bullion finally brought him back to the ring in Saudi Arabia last November. That went well. The match reeked. And though he wasn't at the heart of its problems, there was something refreshing and yet also depressing about how HBK looked and sounded after the match. He is one of the greatest of all time, with wisdom beyond many of the people entrusted by WWE with its future at the Performance Center. Other than maybe Scotty 2 Hotty. Love that guy. The entire project is, of course, run by Triple H, a man HBK has a stronger bond with than, I don't know, take your pick. The Canvas? Though he initially seemed thrilled to switch wrestling off entirely, this looks like a job for life if he wants it. And on recent evidence, he clearly does. Number 1, Rob Van Dam. Rob Van Dam's late bloom in Impact Wrestling wasn't entirely a result of their odd fetish for former ECW stars. What is with that? But even the whole effing show would probably be the first to admit he isn't exactly boasting the same flash and flair that took him to the precipice of the entire industry. Since 2010, RVD has appeared sporadically in WWE, every version of TNA, Impact, or whatever it's bloody calling itself this week, and even held down secure spots in several indie promotions. There is only one thing holding Rob Van Dam back, and thankfully it's not health or money, it's very simply how long he wants to spend in the tub. Look how happy he is there. The beautiful irony of all this is nearly 2 decades after Triple H deemed RVD not worthy of being world champion, he has channeled more Ric Flair than the game ever did. You'll love to see it. And that's our list. Did we miss any out? Let us know in the comment section below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling on either iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts from for daily wrestling podcasts, where we not only review Raw, SmackDown, AEW, NXT, and pay-per-views, we also have interviews, roundtable discussions, and a roundup of the week, complete with a bloody good quiz, of course. My thanks to Michael Hamflett, who helped me craft this list. Thank you for watching, and we will see you soon.